Hi there, my name is Colleen Adrian. I'm a parent educator and mentor, and I work primarily with parents of sensitive kids. Some of those parents are highly sensitive themselves, and I help them. One of the things that I help a lot of parents with is regulating their own emotions and supporting their kids to learn to regulate intense emotions. For people who are really sensitive, adults or children, I believe that it's just a little bit harder sometimes to be in the world we live in when we are really highly attuned to the environment around us and to sounds and incoming stimuli. So learning how to, or gaining skills for regulating ourselves and calming ourselves is really vital to staying calm and grounded, especially when we're working with our children. So I'm going to share with you today a little practice that I learned a few years ago, and it comes mainly, variations have been around of it have probably been around for years, like since the 70s and 80s. So I've pulled from a variety of different places, but most recently I've read a lot about it and see a lot of people practicing who are informed about nervous system regulation and the polyvagal theory. So this is a practice that actually helps us to calm just by virtue of the messages that it gives us, that it gives our nervous system, pardon me, when we're moving. And I'll explain a bit more about that in a moment. So you can use this if you're feeling a bit irritated or a bit overwhelmed, and you're frustrated and you're struggling to get yourself calm again because you need to deal with your child in a difficult situation or somebody else in a difficult situation. But I speak primarily about parenting here. And just one little note before we get started, it's important for you to know that kids really need a parent to co-regulate with when their emotions get to be too much for them to manage. And what that means is that if the emotions are bigger than they have the capacity to tolerate, they need their parent or a teacher or an adult who's with them to be calm and regulated and grounded enough that they can that they can use our calm to help themselves calm, basically, is what's going on. So that's called co-regulation. So that's why it's so vital for us as parents to learn these skills. So the skill or the tool that I'm going to teach you today is called Orienting. And really what it does is helps to bring us back into our bodies. It helps to bring our awareness and our attention back to our felt senses and bring us into the present moment. Because when we're worried or frustrated or overwhelmed, typically what the body does and what the nervous system does is we tend to kind of go whoop into our heads, and we're more focused on what we're thinking. You know, everybody's had that experience of, you know, playing something over and over again in your mind where you're worried about something or angry, and the dialogue's kind of going through your head. So we want to bring ourselves back into our body because that's where we feel a sense of safety, typically, unless we have past trauma, but that's beyond the scope of this video. So orienting, and I'll just say up front that if any of these suggestions, these are all suggested activities and moves, if any of them feel unsafe at any point, or you kind of feel like, that doesn't feel very good, I invite you to modify it or stop the video or do whatever it takes so that it feels more calming for you. Okay, so there's no hard and fast rules. So let's get started. So I'll invite you to start with to move your eyes and your attention away from the screen, and I'll do it with you for a few moments. So perhaps just turn your head a little bit and begin to slowly look around the environment and notice maybe something in your environment that your attention is drawn to. And I find it helpful to name it out loud. So if you're able to do that, give that a try. I'm looking at a little drawing that my son did when he was younger. And I'll invite you to begin slowly turning your head back towards the center and noticing what you see in your environment. You can name it if you like. And maybe continue past the center point this time. And continue turning your head slowly in the other direction. And maybe stop once or twice as you're turning. Pause and allow your attention to fall onto something that you're drawn to. And just notice whatever comes in to your attention. There's no right or wrong. Maybe you notice the color of something you're looking at or something else that appeals to you about it. What pops out to you in the moment. And as you're turning your head, notice your breath. Are you breathing? Again, no right and wrong, just notice. Notice where in your body you feel the sensation of your breath. Do you feel it going down your windpipe? Are you breathing through your mouth or your nose? What areas of your body shift a little bit as you're breathing? Maybe your abdominal area, or you feel your chest expansion. And then bring your attention, if you haven't already, you can slowly bring your head back to a neutral position or wherever it feels comfortable. And you can choose to either open your eyes or close your eyes. And do follow your impulse. Do what feels good and safe for you. In other words, if it doesn't feel good to close your eyes, then keep them open. There's no right or wrong. And now I invite you to bring your attention to the surface that you're resting on. Maybe it's your chair. Maybe you feel your sit bones and your bottom and the backs of your legs supported by a chair or the sofa. Notice the areas where there's more pressure or less pressure. Maybe there's some spots that feel more pressured against the surface than others, just to notice. Again, no right or wrong. And now bring your attention to your jaw. Is your jaw tight? Does it feel fairly relaxed? If you stretch your jaw a bit, is there a yawn or anything else that wants to happen? Just to notice. And now I'll invite you one more time to bring your attention back to the room, to something in the room that you see in front of you. And maybe back to the computer screen here as we wrap up. And just in closing, I'll share with you that All of those practices, obviously, that's what we're here for, can be helpful for settling the nervous system. And in particular, the exercise of turning your head slowly is something that sends a message of safety often for people to their nervous system, because what you're doing is you're scanning the environment. So in our reptilian brain, we're hardwired to know that if we start to sense a little bit of danger, that scanning in the environment is one of the first things we need to do, right? And we see that in all mammals. So for instance, if you see a deer out in the wild and it's in a field and you come upon it and surprise it and it hears the sound, what do they do if they've been eating grass? They pick up their heads. You often see their ears flicker or twitch a little bit. And then they tune in and they listen, and then they'll turn their heads and they'll scan the environment to see if they see anything. And if they don't see anything else and they don't hear anything else, they'll often go back to eating grass, right? So we have proprioceptors in our neck that actually send signals about the position of our head back to our central nervous system. So it's that whole system that helps our nervous system to feel safe and to calm back down. So you can do this. You can take a few moments out if your child is old enough that you're able to leave, or even take a little break in the bathroom if you need to. You can do this for a moment or two, just a little part of this in the lineup at the grocery store, or this is a practice that you can take with you almost anywhere. And like I said, you can take any little piece of it, the feeling your body on the surface, or the breath part, or the actual orienting with your visual changes. You can take any little part of it and adapt it and use it wherever you are to help calm your nervous system. I hope you find that helpful. Again, I'm Colleen Adrian. And if you'd like to check out more of my resources, you can find the link to my website in the notes below. Thank you for listening.